starting. Okay, it's going.
Hi, Joy.
Hi.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Corinne.
I'm Hannah.
Marky.
And this is post 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Did we want to do a check-in?
we could do a check-in.
Yeah.
Resemble it. Well, we could have just did one right before we
I
press
know,
start.
yeah, but
We're all tired.
I think it's like good for you too. Like we're doing this on Friday instead of Tuesday because Tuesday was Halloween. Just so it's not like you guys posted really late since you were supposed to do it on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I think everyone ended up kind of changing it up.
So too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah. Tired but good.
Yeah.
Snow kind of, that happened. So everyone's kind of off.
Well, I woke up and read like that my PE class was canceled because it was before 11, and I was like, I got so excited because of it, and then looking out the window that I couldn't go back to sleep because I like I'm like, I'm not tired now. I can't go back to sleep. I got too excited, and so I could have slept longer.
My alarms didn't go off this morning to go to work.
Oh,
And I'm the kind of person, I set like 7 alarms.
oh wow.
No joke. Like every 10 minutes because I would prefer to do that than snooze because I don't trust myself when I'm tired.
Yeah, no.
And none of them went off. And my sound was on, everything, I don't know why they didn't go off, and I was freaking out. I woke up at 6.
To be?
I had to wake up at 3:30, and so I slept in a long time. And I called work, and I'm just like, oh yeah, my alarm's gonna go off, and left a voicemail, and then I found out school was canceled. I was like, I shouldn't have called. They don't dock me for not showing up. I don't know. But
well, it said some jobs were
still going on.
Yeah, but then they said check in with your supervisor, and I'm like, I wonder what jobs still have to go. But
and then I was running late for my other class and freaking out, and then I saw your message and was like, yes, because I was gonna be 20 minutes late.
Oh my gosh,
it was a rough morning.
It's
okay.
Here.
We're here.
We're here.
Yep.
We're ready. We're all good.
And any of you heard of the terms prior to the ones we had to learn or for this post? Did you know those words?
I knew assimilation, but that's it.
Same.
I feel like I've heard of acculturation, but I didn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I remember it from freshman year, Glenn's. Did you guys ever take 269 Glenn, race and ethnicity?
No.
I took it with that class, and that's what I remember. Those 2 words. Yeah. You guys should. It's a really great class. None of us have time to take it, but I'm just saying it's a good introduction class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Anami? That's really related. That third culture is the third culture kids video, right?
Yeah.
So that pretty much just
the no man's land.
Yeah.
Is how I word it. I looked it up because I was like, wait, I need a different example.
Yeah.
And so feeling that you're stuck. You can't assimilate here or there.
See, I felt with the video, it was to a certain extent a prime example of assimilation, just because they literally didn't even know the language being spoken at their home because they assimilated to our culture, but not a full assimilation. And that's why I had a hard time because I was like, it seems like they're in no man's land to a certain extent, but then they chose this culture over their own in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that
because they felt they could survive better and one of the kids was saying everything on the TV, everything you read online, all your classes, everything is in English, so it's
right.
You have the choice.
Why not choose one that's majority?
I never heard of that before.
The third world or not?
The other one.
The third culture, I mean, not world.
Yeah,
or
when their parents.
Oh, the one about how the parents
the
don't speak any English, but they
and
they don't communicate with their famy. That is weird.
Sad.
I know. Yeah. Or then, I mean, this is going all over the place, but speaking on behalf of the videos, but when you were talking about the 5 love languages and how that just never occurred to me that those are even socially constructed based off of the culture that you're a part of, and how it compared how oh well, my parents don't express the love in the way that I know in this culture.
And it's even just different from cultures, but also like from families. Like my parents are divorced, so the way that my mom, like, you know, the way we do stuff at my mom's versus at my dad's, and then having my stepmom like also be like another person that's like different and like brings different like love languages. It's like,
oh yeah,
I definitely see it.
No, I guess that's a good.
And she's like, she has mentioned it so many times. She's like, of course you get another. Like it's like, you know, she's like, your dad got you something for Valentine's Day. You know, your dad got you this. Like and I'm just like, yeah. And she's like, we just don't do that. And I'm like, and it's right. Like when we go to Greece, it's not like, you know, gifts aren't like. A thing to be like, here you go, I love you. You know, so
spending time with each other.
Yeah.
That's how my family.
That's
super
interesting.
Yeah,
right. Always.
Got you this burrito.
No food is like, that's especially like my dad will be like, I sent you something. It'll be chocolates or like, you know, like something like that.
That is delightful.
I like. After you said like the thing of just how like your parents are divorced and the family's dynamics change a little bit with who comes into the family, I am now realizing that I had that similar experience a couple, well, I guess now it's like 7 years ago when my mom got remarried. And it was actually really a hard adjustment because my stepdad was very like not touchy in the way of like hugging and like saying how are you and like just like touch her, like not like weird touch, but just touch her like we're sitting next to each other on a couch and our legs are touching. He's very like anti any of that.
That's how my stepdad is too.
Really? And so when like that happened, he like brought up like saying that it was really weird for my mom and brother to be sitting so close on the couch together, and
or
I
like
was
hugging
like,
or something.
It was like, well, and he like freaked out about that too. He's like, I don't think you just don't know what boys are thinking at that age. I'm like, are you kidding me? It was like, no, that is a family like relationship type thing only. Like that's the way we love each other and stuff. And so, I mean, he had to be the one to adjust to it because that's all we ever have known growing up together. And so, but I just like, that's like a way of like knowing like that's how like polar opposite it can be for people with like showing ways of love and stuff. But even within a same culture, it's just
and I wrote in my post here, I had just been talking about this with my roommates. We were all talking about it like with boyfriends and stuff. And like when I was reading this, I was like, I didn't even think about different cultures. And then I like started thinking about Kiki, that's who my stepmom is, and like how like she's like she loves touching and like, you know, she like words of affirmation, like she'll send me sweet texts and like it's stuff like that. It's just like totally.
That's crazy.
Should we talk more about like the other videos? That we're kind of on the topic.
Oh, definitely.
So the third, what is it? The third culture? Is that what it's called?
Third culture kids.
Third culture kids. So that video I found super interesting because my boyfriend's mom was one of those kids. Like her dad worked for Boeing, and so they moved around a lot. And like she graduated in Taiwan, and they had like 25 kids, I think, in their graduating class, and all of them were from different countries.
Really?
Yeah, and some of them, like, I actually sent her the link, and she's like, yeah, we're in, like, a group chat with it, like, all the graduating class, and
I'm turning on my heat.
I guess one of the people in that group had sent that video, like, last year or something. And they're all talking about how, like, like, we do feel more comfortable in an airport, and, like, things like that, where I'm just like, I never would have thought of any of this because it just blows my mind. I can't imagine. But I kind of wrote about how one of the kids was talking about the kind of cliche, like, home is where the heart is. And I totally agree with that. Ever since, like, moving out of my parents' house, like, I don't consider that house my home, and I don't consider my home. It's like when we're all together, like for Thanksgiving or whatever, it's like, okay, now it feels like home.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that's really cool. And I'm glad those kids were talking about it. I don't know. I wonder if, like, how common it is to have kids in our classes like that. Because I feel like a lot of times it's like international schools. But I don't know.
Yeah, I do wonder how common that is, because now I'm even thinking, like, I feel like it's becoming more common because so many people are moving around often. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there definitely is a huge majority that are just like, they grow up in the same spot, stay there, never leave kind of thing. But I'm just thinking too, for what it's like for me, what I call home, and I think it is the case for a lot of people, like where whoever's around them is what they call home. It's never a physical place, really. But at the same time, I think I will always call Bellingham home, because that's where, or like in Whatcom County, my home, because that's where I was raised. But I haven't had to leave yet and then come back and have that feeling. I don't know. I don't really know.
I wonder if like another reason why they could like have that feeling is because like what they mentioned in the video of having people be like, yeah, but like where are you from? Like where what's home? And they're like,
So
you
maybe
know,
it just
like
needs to
having
be
that feeling of
worded
being like, well, I live here, so like this is my home. They're like, no, but like where are you from? And
Yeah.
it's like,
You know, especially
so
when they're moving like every 2 years.
Yeah.
Even one of the kids, I think he had lived, I think it was from like 5th grade until he graduated or something.
in Taiwan, wasn't it?
Something like that. And like to me, because I moved when I was little, I always considered where I was born my home. And then when I moved, like I said, like I got into college and I was like, wait a second, like I spent most of my life over here, like, you know, and I don't know, like, because when I first heard him say that, I was so curious. It's like, oh, I'm surprised he doesn't consider that his home. Oh, I guess I kind of don't either.
That's interesting.
Even though it's the same country. But
I wonder if it's like a different way of wording. Like if we went talk to our kids and be like, where are you from? What's your home? Like kind of thing. It would be more like maybe, I don't know, like what place that you've been in your life has impacted you the most, or something to make you who you are, kind of thing. Because then that could be wherever, not just like, oh, I was born here and that's what I show my identity on. So come from there, because you know, seeing all those different people, like you don't. I mean, I don't know if he was white or whatever, but he's like, okay, well, he struggled with people being like, well, how are you from there? Like, you don't look anything like people from there, kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be that way, but that was just
I feel like that goes into like a lot of microaggression stuff too. It's like in America, it's pretty common for people to not know that it's not okay to be like, what are you? You know, like you don't look like me. Like, what are you?
Right.
Like, maybe don't say that.
Seriously.
But
I felt like it also showed the importance of having like a safe space in our classroom, because in a lot of ways, like some kids, and that's what I even wrote about too, was that like to change my classroom to better suit those children. Like I really want the classroom to be like it's so like, another cliche saying like being open to everyone, celebrating diversity, that kind of thing, because that's such a blanket. But I really want to figure out a way where my students can feel like they can be proud that they're whatever they feel they are. And I don't know, it makes me sad, because I do realize our classrooms are very much like European, and I don't really know how to change that, which makes me sad. Like, how do you? Because even time, like our clock and like where the desks, like everything is like that. How do you change that in your classroom to like include everyone? And, I don't know. It got me thinking about it.
And talking about it.
Talking about it.
I think what will be so hard too is like to have like, because we're in a bubble here in Bellingham, and like the motivations that all like Bellingham School District has is so like parallel to what we're learning. But like I feel like it's going to be a hard adjustment for anybody that leaves this area to go elsewhere, because I feel like it is very, you know, uncommon to have the mindset that we all have, and like the surrounding area, and like being inclusive of everybody, and like we're going to have a lot of work to do, I think, if we do enter into a different type of school district or area within our country to like make that change. But it's also really exciting because like there are people going out there and going to make that change, or like we're all very, I feel like, motivated people to like bring that change.
I think about that all the time because people always ask me like, okay, well, like, are you moving home? Like, are you gonna go back to Montana? And I'm just like, and then I even think about like just my major, like ELLs. Those people are not like, there's not a lot of ELLs in Montana, and so like I just think about like going into a school district and like having people not value certain things that we've been learning, and like makes me think about what Joy talks about a lot. Is like, okay, well, how are you gonna like help that? Like, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, you're right. I'm gonna have to do that.
And that's like, I really want to teach in Bellingham because I really love the way that like the teachers really format. But then at the same time, I'm that type of person who also is like, but I kind of want to go to my hometown because the education system is so unfair. And it's like, I want to go to a place that needs me. Like, we had a teacher come from Bellingham and move down to like my old school, Beacon Hill, and it was her first year there, and she completely rewrote all of the math curriculum, like completely changed everything to more of like the Bellingham standards. And it was where she had such a huge, like, you could definitely tell that she's like, this is not okay, and like completely like, and taught people about like multiculturalism and social justice. And it was to where she was a first year teacher, and like teachers that have been there 20 years were going to her like conferences that she was setting up, going, we need to learn this and implement this. And so
that's so cool.
I don't think I could have had amount of change. I hope that I can, but it made me go, it's possible, right? As long as you explain it, you know.
And even if we're not like hosting workshops, and stuff, we can at least, you know, in little meetings and stuff.
And especially if it's working, in your classroom too. Even if you don't necessarily go out and be like, you're doing it wrong, but if people are seeing your classroom and seeing it and being like, like, what are you doing? Like, these kids are doing great.
I know, and that makes me feel really happy that you just said that. Just because, like, I think about being a first year teacher and like going in and having people be like, no, that's not what we're gonna do.
And I think there will be some, and that'll be really tough. But I feel like also there will be some that are like, oh, So it's just interesting to think about, like, where we'll all end up and what impacts we'll bring for the better. It'll be great.
Okay. So do we kind of want to talk about the not like the terms, but the next one? Did we talk about that?
Oh, cultural sustaining pedagogy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a little confused, and I tried my best. So like,
I was really, and we all like took different.
I saw that we all like said kind of differently.
It was cool. I liked it.
Yeah. Let's talk it out.
I've read it so many times, and every time I was like,
it's
maybe it means this.
It's a little dense to try and.
And then I googled it too, and I was like, okay, it's like the same thing. And then I was like, this is my best guess.
Right.
So,
I feel like I didn't give a good explanation of what I thought it was.
I know, I couldn't put it into words without sounding really cheesy.
What I put as mine is, I just said that it was a new pedagogy approach that takes like Lattice and Billings as like kind of like the framework and tries to make those keywords of relevant and responsive have more of a like explicit and lasting meaning. And so it's like pushing towards cultural sustained pedagogy with the goal of supporting students' culture, linguistic competence, and like cultural competence, as well as like other cultures and the dominant culture.
Okay.
That's the way I thought of it.
That makes sense.
What did you guys think?
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just said that, like, I feel like it's the idea of teaching social justice and diversity and understanding, so like multicultural education. So instead of, a lot of the times people just teach one, the idea of combining it all to create something and doing that framework is kind of what I saw it as. I didn't know how to explain it perfectly.
I read yours, but I agree,
It seemed like what we talked about in our ELL in her slideshow, remember? Yeah, with the 3 things. But her slideshow's not posted, so I was like, I don't know how to explain it, but that's kind of how I saw it, was that. But once again, I don't know. I read it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like sustaining the cultures that are within your classroom and like you were saying outside of those, you know, and I guess too, like really thinking about yourself as the teacher who's facilitating that and not like, I don't remember if it was in the chapter 4 or one of the videos or the article. I don't know, but it was talking about like also not making, you know, those assumptions and that by you doing your own research that that's going to be exactly the way that your kid that comes from a different culture experienced, if that makes sense. So like, instead, I mean, having that as like a background to like build off of, but not like fully going off of that, but going straight to your kid that's coming from a different culture and like having them explain that to you and those differences, I guess. I was like, okay, like rely more on your kids than like just the main like basis of like a different culture and stuff. And so I don't remember where I went into it, but just talking about like also like even the way that you perceive what they're telling you is going to be different still because you're always trying, like our minds automatically try to compare to what we already know, and so it's still going to be skewed. So really just relying on your kid to teach the class and incorporate that and like really using them as like a anchor for that. Yeah, exactly. And the families, and that's
what do you guys think about home visits? Like, are you going to plan on doing them?
Oh yeah.
Or,
I look forward to them. Like,
I know a lot of schools. Okay, this is just at home, but like in the school district at home, they like require home visits for kindergarten. So not required, you know, like if they don't feel comfortable, but
the teacher has to.
The teachers go in like pairs, and then they go meet the kindergartners.
I think my boyfriend's mom had to do that. And she was at Sunnyland for preschool though, and she had to go. And love them.
I never had any teachers offer home visits.
Yeah,
no. And that's why I was like, like that's still a thing.
Yeah. Like, I had only had 2 teachers out of all my teachers that have ever came, and it was because like my parents became friends with them, so I could invite them to things. So it was always like a cool like teachers in my house. Like, whoa, that's weird.
Yeah,
but never like that.
Was an ESL teacher for 5 years or something, and she did a lot of home visits, and I was super little, not old enough to be in school, so we would like go along with her and hang out with the kids while she would talk with the parents. And so it felt really normal until I was in school, and I was like, well, I can't imagine like this teacher outside of school. Like, how did my mom do that? Like, why weren't the parents like freaked out, you know?
Right.
But I totally see the values, but also I feel like it's kind of ingrained in my brain that it's like inappropriate for some reason, like crossing some like private line between school and home.
I see what you're saying.
But I don't know. The more we're reading, I'm just like,
oh no, it's okay, I'll wait. It's my mom. It's okay.
But yeah, I don't know. The more we're reading about it, I'm just like, okay, there's some good stuff we can do.
Well, and I feel like it really creates that idea of the safe space where you're respecting where the children come from. And then, I don't know, like, it seems like the teacher, to me when I was going to school, because I was mute at the time, I saw my teacher as this, like, person on a pedestal who, like, existed for this. And that's the thing. I still really do that. But and then it's like having them go home. Like I can only imagine how that would have changed my perception. Like they're a person, kind of thing. And then seeing it more like I can go to them if I need help. Like if something happened with my parents, I could feel comfortable going because I can't even imagine telling my teachers what happens in my home life. Like that's really weird to me. And I realized, like, I don't want to do that with my kids, and maybe home visits is a good door to that. But once again, I never experienced it. Aside from my mom, who was a specialist too.
I'm like thinking about all that. And was your school big that you went to?
Not really. Okay. Like, I mean, we have a small town, but it's like kind of like a normal sized high school.
Like what was your graduating?
Whoa, I have no idea. Everyone knows the numbers of the graduating class, but I'm like, whoa, there was a lot of us.
It was like the largest ever to go through the town.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like 455.
See,
I had like 90 when I graduated.
Whoa, that's so
did you go to
cool.
a private school or?
No,
Oh,
just
jeez.
Meridian.
Wow.
But because of that, like all of like the students were really close with, like I feel like that's when I first started to experience in high school like a different relationship with my teachers. Like I still get like lunch and coffee with my teachers, like that I really like love.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, they're really influential to me. And like my roommates, they both went to Camas High School. That's a 4A, 5A school. I don't know. It's like their graduating class is huge, so they're like, that's really weird, Hannah. Like I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I don't think that's weird at
And
all.
so, like, I played tennis a lot in Camas, and, like, I know a lot of the Camas teachers, so I'm like, that is, like, I can't even imagine them doing
And, like,
that.
I go to coffee with, like, male teachers, like,
Yeah.
because, like, we just, like, we all,
Yeah.
and, like, I'm not the only one. Like, there's other, like, students, girls and guys that go, and I don't know. It's just, like, I think that's when I started to change my perspective of teachers of, like, because they were so, what's the word? Transparent with all their students. Like, they really represented that. Like, my experience growing up in elementary school, and, like, I feel like it's for us what we're learning. Like, we're supposed to be transparent with our students. Like, we're all here learning together, blah, blah, blah. And so because that's becoming a new thing, I feel like that will make it easier for, like, our students to see us as just other humans and not, like, put on this really high pedestal. I hope. I don't know, because I feel like that does make it better.
Like, point it out. Like,
Right. Like, this
y'all
is,
do it.
it's more like, it makes it feel like a safer, not so
I never saw that either.
Me neither, not
I
till
never
high
did.
school. And then I feel like with, like how you guys are saying, how like with college you still kind of get that with professors, and I don't feel like I do as much because I think from my experience in high school with like being more transparent and like, I don't know, like I feel like we're not equals in any way, but like they're always like definitely teaching
I think
me
of
more,
it as
but-
like someone that like wants to support me and see me do well,
Right.
and so like that
like
relationship
we're here
isn't.
together,
We're
working
here.
towards a
Yeah,
goal.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm telling you what to do. I'm telling you how to get there. It's like I'm helping you as you get there. That's how I think about it too.
And so, along those lines, I feel like that's like with those home visits and stuff, and like being in the classroom very transparent with your students, that'll result in even a safer feeling space for all your students, knowing that you like see them in all levels of their life and not just like it's all. And it's not a huge shock when they see you in the grocery store.
See how like professors, especially in Woodring, are like, we have a common goal.
Right.
But then also I was raised in a town that was like, one of my English teachers in high school was literally an ex-drill sergeant. Like, that was like a big, like, in all my classes growing up, it was like, you sit on the little desks, and I have the big one in the corner, and I like stand, and you sit, and when I say this, you do this. And it's like, it's just like in my head that I'm like, I must respect them.
Yeah.
Like, not that you wouldn't respect them, but like, I'm just like,
it was a very
you're
different
superior to me,
relationship.
and like,
It's so funny, like thinking about like I wonder what those teachers were taught then, like how to teach. It's like okay, you got to be perfect the entire time. You are up, like you know, like
and
like,
like
it's not the way
I
we
feel like
are.
we didn't do a lot of group work. Like it was a lot of like, I
You
don't know,
versus
if I
the
hear
teacher.
any voices, you guys are in trouble. Like, you know, I don't know.
What's interesting is my uncle is like the principal in Portland, like one of the schools, and he went to Bellingham and he graduated from like Woodring and stuff. And he's a lot older now. He's actually I think like retiring this year. But so he lived in Bellingham and everything, and he has the philosophy of you do not smile or like show mistakes or anything for the first like until like past December, and then you lighten up because then they can handle it.
Right.
But it's just so weird.
I've heard teachers say that.
But like he came from our school.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel
Different
like
times.
I know I'm like
Yeah.
I know, and maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like even Woodring was like, don't smile. Like I can't.
I had this 7th grade math teacher that he gave me so much anxiety every day in class. I was just like, don't make eye contact, don't make eye contact. Like he was so scary. And then the very, very last day of school, he was just like, became this completely different person. He like kind of slouched a little, and he's just like, yeah, like this is why I did it. And he explained it and everything. And I was like, that's great and everything. But like, I don't know if I learned math because I was so focused on like avoiding like any interaction with you.
Yeah.
So I think there is like a sweet spot. Like I see the importance of being like, okay, like we have some expectations, but you know, like also I'm a human.
Yeah.
Bringing it back just to the cultural sustaining pedagogy, I wrote down an example because when I was reading this, it like made me think of time at Allen, and I was like, oh, this might be it. I don't know though. So okay, so like the majority of my students all speak Spanish, and then there's one girl who speaks Marshallese, and so when we were doing anchor charts, I have one. It's his second year in the United States, so he's not considered a newcomer anymore, I guess. But anyway, so he like needs to say stuff in Spanish, and like the other two kids will translate it, and they'll be like, "Oh, plants," and I'm like, "Okay," so like I write it down. And what was like awesome is he said it in Spanish, and then we wrote it down in English. But then one of the girls to the girl that speaks Marshallese was like, "Wait, how do you say it in yours?" And like I was like, yeah, how do you? Like, yeah, you know, like we're not only and so like that just made me think of like dominant culture, their own, others, like, you know, trying to include all of them. And so, yeah, it made me think of that. I read that in my post. Yeah. So I don't know if that's what it is.
I think that's a perfect
example.
Like, it doesn't have to be so expensive. It can be as simple as that. Like,
and it was really cool. I love this practicum, you guys.
It's really fun.
Girl who, when she found out I was doing EL, she's like, oh my gosh, I was an EL student. And I guess she like recently got into Woodring. And she's like, yeah, the school I went to, I think her first language is Mandarin. And she's like, yeah, the school I went to, like I was the only Mandarin speaking student. And so like all of my ELL specialists or whatever like spoke Spanish. And so they were able to like connect with families and like she was going into all of that, and like I never even thought of that because I feel like a lot of our classes it's like English and American ideals are like, you know, the like main thing that we want to try to like include other cultures, but then also if you're in a community where there's like most of the kids speak one language, you're kind of doing that with which is it's helpful for them, but then you have to keep in mind like all of the kids.
I think about that a lot when people are like when I tell them like what my major is, and they're like, "Wait, but you don't speak Spanish," and I'm like, "Actually, that's not what this is." And then like I go into explaining it, and
I get that reaction.
And I do have to say, like a lot of people, when I was like, I'm ELL and stuff, and then like even in like the program, people be like, oh, like so, like, and they'll be like talking about like Spanish. I'm like, I actually took Japanese, and they're like, oh, and you're doing ELL, and I'm like, well, where my sister teaches, actually, like. All the ELLs are from Japan or China, and so I'm like, they're different ELLs.
So anywhere you are,
But
it's so interesting.
It would just be super helpful if I spoke Spanish while teaching here. That would be really nice.
I wish they knew multiple languages.
I wish I knew.
I know.
I know.
Thinking, isn't it Beth? She's the one that can speak like 6 languages.
Yeah.
I was like, and I saw her do it, and I was like, this is so cool.
Amazing.
I know, and especially since like we like read, I think in this class, like there was like a little expert, but like where it said Vietnamese is the hardest language to like learn English from, and it's like we're not even prepared for that, like because like everything's different in like Vietnamese.
Well, even like just the different tone in which you say it, right? Like when you know the word, not just like saying it, like you can say one word in many different ways, many different meanings.
I think it's Vietnamese where it's like the ma, and ma is like several different words.
Which we do tonal stuff, but it's more for like emphasis on like, you know.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the meaning.
But it doesn't change the meaning.
No, it's more like question, exclamation, period. You know,
like I went to the park. I went to the park. I went to the park. But if you're trying to teach, you know,
I feel like you
come from like tonal language. Then we're like, oh yeah, we have that. Well, and they're like, but like,
no.
And what's insane
still
is
saying you went to the park.
You still went to the park.
But it could also mean that you didn't. Like, it, instead of changing the word, it could have meant you changed your sentence. Like, if I went, like, I went to the park. It's like, yeah, you went to the park, but it's like, I went to the park. It's like, did you really?
Yeah. That's point.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's insane. I feel so bad.
I learned about something about emphasis on certain words at some like church retreat I was on or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's really important. I'm just like, I never thought of that.
I never did.
Some
Jeez.
sentences more than others, obviously.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
But gosh. Yeah. I feel I like the more I'm in this class, I'm like, man, at first I was like, man, just put me in a classroom. But now I'm like, I feel still like really ill-equipped to like deal. Like I don't even.
There's so much.
Every district is different, and then within that, the schools, and then the kids you get. Like, you can have this awesome like unit plan for different whatever, and then you get a new group of kids, and you're like, change everything.
I think it's just like going into the mindset. I feel like as educators, we just need to be okay with like learning and changing and being humble and being like, well, that didn't work. Or like that was awesome. We're gonna keep that. You know, just we're always gonna be learning.
I feel like ELL shouldn't be a major. I know that's like
it should
terrible.
Every teacher,
I think every teacher.
Totally.
Like I think that honestly, the stuff we've been learning, it's like everyone needs this for their classroom. Like I cannot imagine teaching a student like a newcomer and not knowing any of this information. I still feel like I'm not fully
especially because
equipped.
they don't really do the pull-out stuff anymore in school districts. And I can't remember who was talking about it, but one of the specialists, like, the whole job is to train the teachers pretty much. Like, hey, this is a strategy that would really help with this student.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if the teachers already had that stuff, you know, they could have the specialists to, like, make sure it's enforced or, like, you know, like, give them more ideas. But,
or even not just ELL classes, but, like, the AMST classes. Like, some people just don't have to take those. I'm like,
that's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
You really should take this class.
So much with perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
I figured out.
It should be a GUR, like,
honestly.
I figured out perfectly how to explain what I was meaning, and I got really excited. Okay. I feel like, so as a teacher, as a person, you have various literacies. I feel like as a teacher, it should be mandatory that ELL is one of your literacies. Like, I feel like it's like, yeah, you learn GLAD strategies, yeah, you learn this, but it's like, ELL is, like, literacy is all about learning how to read the world around you, which was one of the definitions we got in this class. And I don't understand how you're supposed to be able to read the world around you if you can't even read your own classroom and your kids, and you're not given the...
Or, like, yourself.
Yeah,
like, you don't realize that you have privilege in certain areas of yourself.
Like, affects the way you do everything.
Yeah, definitely.
And
it's a good point.
It's interesting because, like, I feel like we're told, like, oh, yeah, we have these privileges. But then there's, like, certain ones that those are the only ones we're really taught about. And then when we did that whole, like, really digging into all the different ones, I'm like, whoa, like, it's not just because I'm white. Like, there's so much more.
That's
like, and it's not just wealth. Like, there's so many different, like, parts of our, like, overall, like, selves that contribute to
and that's
our
like
privilege.
Like, talking about language and how it ties into that video of how that one kid was like, it's when he got brought into the principal's office and he was like, they had the privilege because they knew English and I didn't. And I was like I knew that, but like when he said it, I know I wrote in my post, I was disgusted.
I know.
Like when he said that, I was like, yeah, like that's another really great example of those like circles, like language being like that girl's mom knew English, all those other people knew English. He, like, his parents didn't know English, so they didn't want to take the time to get a translator or to like try to communicate with his parents about that.
And he could barely communicate with his own mom.
And my thing too that really bothered me was it did not mention if that girl got in trouble because it started with her bullying him. And it's like, where was that justice? Like, and he was like, he didn't even say it, and he got in trouble, and then that girl got
also
nothing.
Just to the fact that they went from like her accusing him of like wasn't having a weapon or like hurting her to so you're in a gang. It's like, what? I know. Why did you jump there?
I know. And I I get having a police officer, because if someone brings a gun to school, like if there's even the thought of it,
Right.
yeah, you have to. I get that,
Mhm.
but it's like, yeah, taking it to that other step where you're like possibly
Labeling.
scarring this kid by bringing him in if he isn't accused, and then immediately jumping to, instead of saying, so do you have a gun? We're gonna search your backpack, and then if he doesn't, then be like, okay, something else is going on here, because like,
wasn't he not told that his backpack was searched? Like, I think he said he just went back to his class and his stuff
what
was
it was,
shuffled
yeah.
around.
all of his stuff was moved. Yeah, that to me,
That's like,
There's just so many things wrong with that scenario.
At the same time, when one of the kids brought a gun to our school, while he was in school, they went into his locker and searched his locker, kind of stuff. But the fact that they brought him in, even knowing that he didn't have a gun, like, I don't.
Well,
get
I just
it.
like,
at
and
all.
like there's so many other things, but like the parents, like, no, this is a child. Like, you can't just be accusing of someone of like,
yes,
like they just not calling the parents.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
yeah, and I've always thought like, oh, it's hard if a parent doesn't have a translator, but they didn't even know that there was an issue at school at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when I think of the barrier like between the teacher and the parents' language, I'm just like, oh, if I have student teacher conferences, you know, it might be hard to convey what I'm thinking or whatever. But it's like, no, they can't even like go in at all because they don't even know like.
Yeah.
And it's not like the child can translate for them.
Yeah.
They can't even speak. That's what's so sad.
Yeah.
And what's upsetting is it's like, okay, I'd understand if it was, I know this is like horrible, but if a teacher did it, maybe. And it was like, oh, that was just a really bonehead teacher move. But the principal of a school, like, to me, that is insane. Like, the idea that, like, they're supposed to know that stuff. They're supposed to know how, like the procedures to that. So is it not written in the procedures that a student has to like have their parents called? Like, is that a thing that's not in writing or something? Like,
I don't know.
It made me question a lot of things. That made me really angry.
I really liked our videos this week.
I really did too.
I like videos.
They made me really sad.
Yeah, they help.
Yeah.
Oh.
Videos to me, I guess, seeing the kids who are directly affected by it really did help. And it was sad hearing, because whenever you hear about it in a book, you always go like, oh, that's really sad. But then like hearing like one of the boys, when one of the boys talking about it, who's like, yeah, I don't like talk with my mom. And then it's like, he doesn't even realize what he's missing out on. Like, to us, we're like, oh no, he must be so sad about that. But it's like, with him, he didn't, he was just like, yeah, that's just not something that happens. And then you're like, wow, I'm really privileged that I get to have conversations with my parents.
Yeah.
Like, it was, that was hard.
That was really hard to listen to from them.
I honestly did not know it was a thing. Like, at all.
No, me neither. Like,
Just blows my mind.
I want another week on this. I want more videos.
I want more videos.
Yeah.
What was the other?
Another thing was everyone read the entire chapter. Make sure you understand Schumann's model of acculturation. How could we? I went back to the Canvas course of 431 because I was a person that had to read like Schumann's like theory, and I literally like pulled it from that and put it here.
Oh, that
I remember doing it. Yeah, I know.
I don't know that I
didn't answer.
I didn't answer it. I just was like, okay, I just read through, but then I saw it and I was like, oh, that's good though to have it written out.
Just so you can see it. Yeah, that's what I
exactly.
thought too. So I was like, I know we don't have to answer it, but like I remember
That was
doing this for this
helpful.
last
No,
like
that was
post.
really helpful. When I was reading it, I was like, thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Because like, I mean, the whole chapter wasn't just on that one. Like it related to it in many ways, but wasn't just solely about that. So that was helpful.
Could talk about the informal assessment tools of acculturation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, right. We were supposed to pick from some of them, right? And
Yeah, I thought there were so many good ideas. Like, I know a lot of them we can't really do because it's more of like a whole class thing.
Right.
But I don't know. I like when we have like clear like, this is something you can actually try out, not just theories. Like, this is something we've tried and it works great. Like, I talked about the school puzzle and the cultural mosaic. I think that was my favorite.
I love the
especially
cultural
because
mosaic.
my learning partner loves to draw. Like, really all of our group loves to, like, I feel like that's how they can best convey their thoughts. And even if they have like little like writing next to it. And so, I don't know, I think it's really cool to include that, because if they can't convey their thoughts, like, how are you gonna,
that's
and
like
it
a
understand
safe
them.
way to go about it.
Yeah,
Like they feel like they can
And then-
fully express and don't have to have that language barrier. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
And then if they do have the verbal ability, you can just like, so like share with me what this
totally.
picture is.
Right.
I wrote that down to be like the quilt one, the like maybe using some of those like things that they told us and like sending it home and then having you like do it with your family and then coming back and telling us about it. Like that could be like a good way of like bridging, like, you know, making homeschool connection too.
I feel like one of our professors was talking.
Beth.
Yeah.
That's what made me think of it. I was like, wait, they're doing this for the family engagement.
Okay, I remember that. Because someone asked if there was any family engagement at Cordata.
Alice asked that. Yeah.
That's right.
I think that's really cool.
Are you guys all going to the harvest?
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel like it really makes sense, because she was saying how like their school isn't on the bus line and stuff like that. And I think that's so cool that they thought to include all of the parents in a way where like it doesn't matter your work hours. It doesn't matter like.
But we want you part of the
that,
school.
but but we want to like. You guys, share with everybody.
It really leads into like the school's cultural and environmental factors, like the fact that like they don't have the option to inviting families in, and so like that's kind of like you kind of have to see all your assets you have for bilingual education, and then it's like you have to see where there are like deficits and everything, and it's where like the idea that they came up with such a clever way to get past that, like I was so impressed. And then reading the quote, that's immediately what I thought of. Immediately, like I don't think I could have thought of something like that. I'd like to hope some point I could, but
I know.
Jeez,
I know. Thank goodness. Someone's thinking about it.
Now I'm like, did I rent this book? I hope I bought it.
Oh,
That
yeah.
happens
I
all
did
the
that
time.
a lot. I keep like, I've been keeping my books lately.
Yeah.
I need this. No, like,
Like, all my ELL books, all like
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're important.
One of the things I talked about with the bridging the classroom community or home culture was kind of what we were talking about with home visits. Is Joy talked about like having neutral zones because some families might not want to have you know come into their home, but then again they might not feel awesome about coming to school. So I remember Joy like told this story where she like was at this place and she invited families to come to it in the community, and I thought that was a really good way to like I don't know, like have the community, but then also like a neutral zone of the family thing. I wrote that as like one of the ways that I would try to build the bridge.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. I guess I'm wondering, like, for the assessment of acculturation, like, have you all already done some sort of, like, I guess I didn't realize with, like, the case study assignment that we are supposed to do a lot of, like, interactions. I thought we had to just do it based off of observation and not, like, interrupting what they're doing. But, like, you do have to do a lot of, like, talking to them and everything. And so I was, like, trying to relate it to that and how I could use one of those to, like, talk to him when I do. But then I also have to, like, get permission from the teacher to, like,
I know that's what's
it's
hard.
like really difficult. But,
and we don't even know.
yeah.
One of the things that, like, I don't know, just worked out really well for me is that my student didn't want to go outside because it was cold. And he was my case study student. And I was like, do you want to stand here and help me clean up? And he was
It is really cold.
He was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And I was like, okay. And like, it was perfect. I had like the amount of time to like, we like, and it's not like I sat there and like wrote anything down. Like, it was honestly just like talking. And he's also, he's the child that's like the second year. And he wants to know so much about me. Like, he'll just ask me, he's like, what kind of car do you drive? But where do you live? And so I like showed him where I lived, and then I showed him Montana. And I was like, and I don't know. So it was like getting one-on-one, like maybe during breaks, is like I don't know, one of the ways that I did it.
Yeah, we've been
Me and Ruby were doing that. Oh,
yeah.
Because they kind of get
study student wasn't there.
we got
to know the other kids, which is good.
Yeah, and they kind of like, it's a thing where they get jealous if one person gets
That's
to
what
do something that the others don't.
Right.
Yeah,
They
that's
all
what my
love
was.
sharing about themselves.
Yeah.
though,
Right.
so
Oh, yeah,
it's
they're like, whoa, you forgot about Miss Ev over there. You know?
Yeah.
So-
That's funny.
and also, we recorded it, so I like put my phone down so that they couldn't see the screen. I'm just like, like, we're gonna record it, but it's just for us, and like just so we can get to know some background and stuff. And one of the girls kept keeping the students in check. Like, I listened back to the video. You could hear everyone perfectly fine. She'd be like, oh no, I don't think you said it loud enough for the microphone.
Oh,
It was so cute. Like, throughout the whole thing, she's like, you need to speak up over there.
One of our
So
girls
cute.
would like say the answer really loud. For the
Yeah,
other
she would
person.
repeat it. They would answer. They said this.
Oh, that's
so
cute.
cute.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like I learned a lot about them just
like
How they interact
watching
with
them, how they,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love
I
it.
guess I'm like worried for my case study student because he's like, anytime I ask him a question, he's like, you stalking me? Why do you need to know that? Like, they want to know why. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go in to tell this kid, like, I'm doing a case study on you. Like, this is why I'm asking you these questions. And I try to keep it as like authentic as I can. Like when I went down on Monday before class, we were at recess, and so I just ended up talking to him and his friend at recess, like, oh, so do you have siblings? Like, how many? Like, but there's still so many other questions we're supposed to have answered for this thing.
Right.
And I'm just like, and like I didn't realize we had to ask them like when or if they were born here or not, but we have to know that.
I mean,
Some
maybe
of our
using
students didn't answer.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like,
maybe using Beth too.
Yeah.
I used Beth for it because I had one of them, like I had the backup one,
Mhm.
and like I just my backup one. She was the one that wasn't there on Monday,
Okay.
and like I just asked her.
I'm
I was like,
literally
"What's going
watching
on?"
somebody do something very inventive.
Oh, you should, guys. No,
your neighbors.
He's literally using snow. He like
all of these boys wake up in the mornings, go outside.
Oh, he's smoking. I'm like, what is he doing? I don't know what he's doing.
He's putting ice, and I was like, what am I watching? And then I've literally watched like a guy in his like boxers walk by, and then a girl like wearing like a robe and her underwear walk by, and I'm just like, this is a really interesting.
This is like how we live. I don't know. It's
I live
like
in
I'm
a
used to
family
it now.
neighborhood.
I know.
Same.
Same.
It's like crossing, like,
There's only
children
Western
present,
students
like-
that live over here. This is like this is multiple times a day.
College.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's made this a very interesting
Good.
experience.
But yeah, going back to that, I also talked about like talking with Beth.
Mhm.
Okay, and wait, is she at Cordata or is that the-
Shannon's.
Shannon's like,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, I just know Miss Jefferson.
Yeah.
But okay, so yeah, talking with her and then the observations during the classroom, because I'm sure our teachers are going to be like, you know,
Mhm.
fishing for things too, and then listening to the kids interact with each other. Like, I feel like there's a lot of ways to find out the information without even like talking with the kids.
Yeah,
Just,
like
there
Beth
is.
gave
observing
so
and,
much
like-
things for me too.
Yeah.
And not even with like my case study students. Like she was like, okay, like he acts like this. This is like his like in. And I used it, and now he walks in and gives me a hug, and I'm like,
Aw.
you know, like she knows
Yeah.
them so well.
Yeah.
So I think using her would be like helpful.
Yeah. But then it's really hard because I've heard like when we have our own classroom, kind of to avoid talking to other teachers because so my aunt is I think she teaches like first grade now, But before she taught 5th grade, and she would talk to like the different teachers that had the kids, be like, oh, you know, like, I don't know, give me a heads up on like certain things that work with the kids and don't work with the kids. But then one year she said she decided not to do that, and she just wanted to like get to know the kids herself. I just have really bad deja vu. This is really weird. Maybe I've told the story before.
No.
But and so she just like wanted to just like get to know the kids herself and like not have any expectations on, you know, their behavior especially.
Right.
And it completely changed because then afterwards, you know, a teacher came up to her and was like, "Oh yeah, so and so, like, wow, they're difficult, aren't they?" She's like, "No, like they're not." Because when you have expectations, you kind of like put them in a situation where then they like are meeting those poor expectations.
It's true.
So it's like I want to talk with other teachers, but then also like be careful.
And what stresses me out is even Beth has an opinion of one of our students, and it's really hard because she's kind of at her wit's end with this one of our students. But then we kind of were like frustrated too. But then we learned out why he was doing what he was doing, and it was like he's in between. Like that's where he is. Like he's showing anger. Yeah, because he's literally like his parents are in Mexico and he's living with his aunt and uncle, and they're threatening to deport him if he doesn't learn English. And he's having such a hard time. And so
he wants to.
He really wants to. He's just done by the time he gets to us because he's been in school all day.
Listening to things he doesn't understand. Like, it's mentally and physically exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
And emotionally, like being like feeling like you can't like understand or something. It's like,
and he just like you can tell the moment he checks out in our lesson. And with her, she's like so frustrated, but it's because she's given him her all. But it's like if I was just listening to her and I didn't know where he had come from, I'd be like, man, this is just like a problem student. Like I feel like any teacher would feel that way. And then when we found out what was on the line for him, it completely changed like the amount of patience and everything we had for him. So so I agree with the whole not knowing too much about a student before you get to know him kind of thing.
That could be like our money question. Like, what do you think is like? What do you think we need to know? Like going, should we like talk to teachers about our students, or like does that inhibit our like perception of them?
Yeah,
you know,
like what are the appropriate things to ask?
Draw from past teachers.
Because like I definitely, when I'm a teacher, I don't want to talk about behavioral stuff, even though they might be like, oh yeah, this was really helpful.
But like it affects your.
If it worked, but like. What if it wasn't ever a problem?
But I mean, like the laundry basket thing, where the kid like would sit in the laundry basket. It's like I feel like I would want to teach it to him. Like, so just so you know, there's a kid who's got a little bit of behavioral problems, but this fixes everything. That laundry basket, I don't know, it's been a game changer. It's like I would love it if somebody told me that.
Was that in art?
Was that in art?
No, that was in. Wait, the laundry basket. Is it like pushing the laundry basket?
Yeah, that's art. That's art.
Wait, no, but I'm not in that class. Why do I know that?
Did you take movement and dance?
I did. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
to explain.
I was like, I don't really.
I was like, hey, I don't think we talked about that.
I know, but like all the classes just blur together.
I know.
Wait,
which is good.
What is the appropriate amount of information to give to other educators about student behaviors? Sound good?
That sounds great.
That's like a minute 60, pretty much.
Oh, I forgot to.
We're like we're at 59.
Oh, but
59, 55.
So in art, one of the movement instructors, and honestly, everything she has taught us, we have tried to kind of incorporate in our own way into our classroom. She was so great. She won like Teacher of the Year and stuff. She's awesome. Fantastic.
Who?
I can't remember her name. This is bad. I'll give you her name.
Is she the? Wait,
she's
Haynes.
A little bit short.
Susan Haynes. Is that her? Probably. That's movement.
She have curly hair, kind of.
Yeah. She is amazing. And one of the things she talked about was there was this teacher, like it was just one of those weird things where the teacher like had this kid who would have meltdowns every single day, could not handle things.
Couldn't sit still, was like constantly touching things.
Tried every strategy she could. Like she like tried to implement anything. Nothing worked. Then one day she was like taking stuff out of her car and she had to use a laundry basket. Okay, so she had to use a laundry basket, and so she just had left it in the classroom. Well, then one day the kids started acting out like crazy, and then she was like, you know what, so-and-so, like another student, she goes, sit in the basket, so-and-so, the kid who had behavioral problems, just push them around in the classroom. And then he started doing it, and then
Which
other
if you came
kids
in a
went up to
classroom,
him.
you'd be like, wow. I know.
But it's to where then he'd be like, okay, I'm ready to work. And so every day, if it gets too much, he'll be like, I need the laundry basket. And he doesn't misuse it.
Because what's the thing you were telling me about where like some kids have just like excess kinetic energy, and they just need to like
Have
she was
force.
saying, like putting bean bags on them too, just to
To
like
calm.
so they can like push on something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because I actually had that, like, the doctor diagnosed me that, and that's why a lot of people who, like, chronically shake their leg, that is a sign for it. And people always will be like, yeah, restless leg syndrome, but that's completely different.
Yeah.
But this, like, I have to have a thing where if I'm sitting at a table and I don't feel like I'm grounded enough, I have to push my fist at the bottom of the table and, like, everywhere I sit to, like, help feel weighted down.
And that's a college student, like an elementary school kid that doesn't know like
any
any
of these
I just need to like sit
tricks,
up,
right.
and then it gets like misdiagnosed with ADD and ADHD.
But, like, so something like that, like, pushing the basket around, like, that's something where she tried everything. And so if a teacher came in and was like, so this kid has problems,
I see
but
that.
I figured something out, it's like,
Mm.
would I still want to know that? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like the same goes for like if you, I don't know, my roommate loves to tell me how difficult tests are that I'm like in the current class for or something. I'm like, just don't tell me that. Like, it gives me this preconceived idea that I'm gonna go in and fail. Like, don't do that to me. I don't want to hear how your experience was. Like, and it's like one thing that's really difficult for because it's like awkward. Like, stop. I don't want to know. But it's like it does affect me so much. So.
Or like if it's like the opposite, like with someone being like, "Oh, it's so easy,"
And then
don't
you're-
even-
yeah,
and then
so
you're
hard,
sitting
so
there like, "I want to cry," and then you're like, "Wait,
Either
like
way,
is this just
it's like
me?"
each
Like,
person's different. So why would you share like your exact experience
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
identical to what you're gonna go
Because that person might not even be, like, being assessed. Like a perfect test is going to be assessing different things from different people and asking for different things from different people. And so, that drives me crazy. That happens more than anything.
The only
I hate it.
I like when people tell me though that they really like a professor.
Yes.
Not necessarily that the tests are easy, but I'm in a class right now where like Madison had already taken it and she told me like, oh, I love that professor, like he's great, he's such a good teacher. And I think if I would have gone in without that, I would like be so much more overwhelmed because now I'm seeing the good in him. Or like, oh yeah, she said like that he does good with that or like this. But before I probably would have been overwhelmed with just like the content of it that I wouldn't have. I don't know.
that's how I feel about all of the maths that we take.
Yeah.
Like people like when I didn't get to have Janet, they're like,
right.
and I'm like, well, now I just feel like I'm not gonna be good at it. Like, you know, Janet, and then I wasn't, and then I was like, like, you know,
Yeah, I totally get that. This, I feel like, okay, I know this is like really weird, but so like the last few days, I feel like teachers like with Tracy in her class in the ELL 481, she'll be like, with our group, we'll be talking, and then we'll be like, yeah, this student, and we'll give an example of like our time to kind of explain it, and then she'll go, you guys are off task, and make us like change it. But like with this conversation, it feels like really fluid, and then like talking about different practicum experience, to me that doesn't feel off task if it's related, but I want to know like if like what we're doing, is that technically off task? Because to me it feels like,
I feel like that's all we talk about in my LN 481 class. Like
Is
when we have
practicum?
it's practicums, and she really wants us like when we're
Reading
reading about
your experience.
when we read about readings workshop and writing workshop, when we have our like discussions about the readings that we did, like she'll come and she'll be like, so do you guys have anything, like did you guys ever do that? And like that's what we talk about. I'm like, no, never. Like, you know, and then like other girls in my like group will be like, yeah, I had this one teacher do this, and like I'm gonna do this in my like student teaching, so I don't know. No, I don't.
It's hard. I feel like all of our classes are so separate. I mean, except for this quarter, like they're so intertwined. But it's hard because it's important to make the connection between our different practicums and our different students and even texts, you know, that we read.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do as
Yeah,
like,
like,
an elementary
it
school
makes it
teacher.
better.
It makes it click for me whenever I hear your guys'
You're not a
speech.
teacher, or you're not just a reading teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right.
Yeah.
Sorry if facing off.
Yeah, sorry. Tell us in the comments. But yeah.
There.
Okay.
Because
We want to touch it.
I don't think we. It's.
It's
kinda
well
like-
over 60.
Oh yeah, it's like 102.
We kind of like briefly touched on everything. It was just kind of like a mesh of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we
think that's how this week
We
was.
don't have to go
Yeah.
through any order.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
And this week was like really all.
Yeah.
Next week's different.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Bye.